Right friends, welcome back to Learning Space. This is the session of news of the day. We are going to deliberate briefly on various news items for today. The first one is African envoys seek United Nations probe into Noida attacks. Last week we discussed the attacks on African students, why the issue is so important. The issue is important because of the historical past between India and several African countries and colonial legacy of several African countries. That is why it is very important to maintain relations between India and African countries, because China is trying its imprint in African countries with its economic might. We may not match the economic might of China, but with our historical links, with our cultural past, we can strike an equation between African countries and India Africa Forum Summit exactly meant for that. The third summit was held in New Delhi in 2015. We deliberated in detail last week, and now African envoys want the probe by United Nations Human Rights Council on the attacks against African students. Probably this may lead to the straining of relations between African countries and India, which is not at all acceptable if you look at the cordial relations between India and Africa. Last week we discussed bilateral trade grow 14 times in the past 10 years, now at present $70 billion with Africa, and African support is very much essential if India has to get permanent membership of United Nations Security Council. So, these things we have discussed. We may not match with the China's economic might, because it is going with billions of dollars of projects in Africa, but we can strike a chord with Africa with the historical and cultural past, right. And the next one is this: national rankings are given, National Institutional Ranking Framework, NIRF. This is basically Human Resource Development Ministry established institution. This is the second time. First time during 2016 rankings were given, and this year rankings were given. That means Indian institutions are ranked just like what we get rankings by the famous organizations in USA, and on similar lines Indian institutions are ranked by NIRF, which is established by Ministry of Human Resources Development, and this is the second year. And another important aspect is there are 5 parameters for giving the ranking. Please go through the 5 parameters. Probably examination perspective, that may be one question. 5 parameters are there. This year 5 types of rankings are given. Overall rankings, overall IISc Bangalore topped. University rankings, there also IISc Bangalore ranked first. And if you look at engineering institutions, IIT Madras. If you look at management, IIM Ahmedabad, and similarly colleges, Miranda House Delhi. So, like that there is 5 categories, they are adjudged, right. Here important aspect is what is this NIRF and how many parameters are there to give ranking. These things are very important. Then 10 killed in blast on train at St. Petersburg station. This is in Russia. Probably people are looking at the terrorist activity by Chechnya rebels. So, in examination perspective, if someone talks about Chechnya, that is the region in Russia which is fighting for independence, and not on those lines, but there are independence movements taking place, and one such is Catalonia in Spain, and Chechenya's movement is entirely different. Only I am explaining you to understand across the world these type of movements, sometimes maybe violent movements, sometimes peaceful referendums, whatever the case. But when people are talking about Chechnya, that is in Russia, please do not forget. At the same time, when people are looking at this Catalonia, their independence, pro-independence movement is taking place. It is in Spain. Last week we discussed about Scotland. Scotland is the region in UK, and overall there is movement for separate Kurdistan, and separate Kurdistan means that comprises 4 countries. Last week I explained you. It involves Turkey, Syria, Iran, Iraq. So, with this news item I explained you various types of independence movements across the world. Then look at the next item. Rohingyas issue sets off alarm bells. In fact, the news item is several Rohingyas escaped from Myanmar and finally reached through Bangladesh to India, and thousands of this Rohingyas are settled in Jammu now, and they got Aadhaar cards. That is the news item. And Aadhaar is only identity, please understand. Aadhaar is not meant for citizenship. So, getting Aadhaar is nothing wrong because it indicates only identity. Aadhaar is not meant for citizenship, and in this context you should have idea about Rohingyas. Rohingyas are basically from Myanmar. They belongs to Muslim community, and this country Myanmar, which is ruled by Aung San Suu Kyi, Buddhism is a predominant country. So, Buddhism is predominant religion, sorry. So, Buddhism is predominant religion in Myanmar, and here Aung San Suu Kyi also, who got Nobel Prize, is not doing much for the Rohingyas. Please look into this. This is Myanmar, and at the same time it is incidental to recollect Myanmar has got border with the 4 states in our country. Can you name the 4 states? These states are starting from Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram. These 4 states are bordering Myanmar, and when people are talking about Myanmar, please do not forget the project Trilateral Highway. It is not taking off on the expected lines, but please recollect a Trilateral Highway from examination perspective. So, Trilateral Highway starts from Moreh in Manipur, passes through Myanmar and reaches Thailand. So, this is a Trilateral Highway, and that passes through Myanmar. And here Rohingyas, as I have already told you, they belongs to Muslim sect, and they are one of Myanmar's many ethnic minorities, and Rohingyas say that they are the descendants of Arab traders who have been in the region for generations. They say that they are the descendants of Arab traders who migrated to this region almost centuries ago, but Myanmar's viewpoint is different. Myanmar says that they are illegal immigrants from Bangladesh, and the country, predominantly Buddhist country, also denies them the citizenship. So, the Rohingyas in Myanmar, they are in Rakhine state of Myanmar, and they are illegally, they are now migrating to adjacent Bangladesh, right. So, this is about the plight of Rohingyas, and about 1 million Rohingyas are estimated to live in western Rakhine state, and you can say they are sizable minority, and they are being persecuted without civilizational rights, and they are being subjected to several atrocities, and they are fleeing to adjacent Bangladesh. This is about the Rohingyas. And why Aung San Suu Kyi, the champion of democracy, is silent? It is not understandable to the world community, right. So, as per some news reports, massive ethnic cleansing is taking place in Myanmar. That means eliminating Rohingyas by the Buddhist majority, but the world community is not speaking, right. Let us leave this discussion here. Defense Ministry nod to buy Barak missiles. Barak missiles are surface to air missiles, and here I would like to tell you what type of defense equipment is manufactured or origin in which country. This is important from examination perspective. This amphibious US-2, that means which can land on either water or on land, that is amphibious US-2. This belongs to Japan, and I have listed here this Howitzer guns, Poseidon 8I, Chinook and Apache. They are manufactured by USA firms, or some of them may be manufactured in India with a license from USA firm. And if you look at Russia, this Kamo 220-60 helicopters, all of you are familiar with the MiG. At the same time, recently there was an agreement for S-400 Triumph, S-400 Triumph missile defense system. At the same time, INS Chakra nuclear submarine, these belongs to Russia. And Rafale fighter jets, government recently had an agreement, they belongs to France, and Kalashnikov weapons belongs to Israel, and these are important from examination perspective. Then PM's Israel trip may see this unmanned aerial vehicle deal, and if you look at the defense purchases, United States of America, Israel, then Russia, then France, these are the important countries from which we are purchasing our defense equipments. And please do not forget, we are dependent almost 70 to 80% of our defense needs through imports. Unfortunate aspect is, even after 70 years of independence, we have not become self-sufficiency in defense equipment. 70 to 80% we are dependent on foreign countries. And Israel, Prime Minister is going to visit Israel in the month of July, and borders are very, very, very important. Borders of Israel, I explained last time, Lebanon, then Syria. Syria and Israel are separated by Golan Heights. Golan Heights are occupied by Israel. Then comes Jordan, like that. The borders are given here. Please go through the borders, because in recent times Israel is into the news. At the same time, Syria is into the news, Turkey is into the news. So, borders of these countries, please do not forget, please spend some seconds to look at the borders of these countries, right. Look into the next news item. Manufacturing activity expands at fastest pace in 5 months. This is the Hindu news item. At the same time, business line news item, manufacturing purchasing managers index at a 5-month high. So, what is meant by purchasing managers index? This is quite frequently, this appears in newspapers, purchasing managers index, and here it is a 5-month high. It touched 52.5, and at one point of time it has gone below 50. 50 is the benchmark, below 50 it has gone. Now it came to 52.5, and what is the significance of this purchasing managers index? And I would like to tell you, this is the index which shows whether the economy is expanding or contracting. This basically looks at the private sector entities, please understand, and it is given, this purchasing managers index is given both for services as well as manufacturing. And if you look at the purchasing managers index, it was started by USA, and it is an indicator of the economic health or business activity. It is the indicator of economic health or business activity, as I have already told you, for both manufacturing and services sectors. 50 is the bench, below 50 you can say 50 is the benchmark, below 50 contraction, above 50 expansion, and here 5 major indicators are taken from private sector companies. Please understand, if someone talks about purchasing managers index, it indicates whether the economy is expanding or contracting. It tracks basically the new orders, inventories, production, supplier deliveries, then employment environment in private sector companies, please understand. And what it takes for manufacturing as well as services I have listed here. It is given for both, but manufacturing PMI is tracked and it is given more importance in comparison to services PMI, right. So, this is about purchasing managers index. Other points, as I have already told you, 50 denotes no change, above 50 indicates increase or improvements, below 50 indicates decrease or deterioration. So, responses from large companies like Reliance Industries will have more weightage in comparison to smaller companies to arrive at the index. It is published every month and it provides evidence of changing economic conditions, especially in private sector. This is very important. Then Malaysian Prime Minister, he was in India recently and he seeks early conclusion of a free trade agreement. What is this about? This news item is about RCEP. Please look into this. This is Trans-Pacific Agreement or Trans-Pacific Partnership, TPP popularly known as. So, this Trans-Pacific Partnership was concluded in the time of Barack Obama. Now, Donald Trump decided to pull out of it. Now, the future of TPP is in doubt with the pulling out of United States of America, and now RCEP, Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. This is going to be the trade treaty between 16 countries. It is yet to be concluded. 16 countries means 10 Southeast Asian countries or ASEAN countries. In addition to 10 Southeast Asian countries, it involves 6 more countries. What are the 6 more countries? India, China, then Japan, South Korea, then Australia, New Zealand. So, these 6 countries along with ASEAN countries, that constitutes RCEP. Now, RCEP has got assumed a lot of significance because United States of America decided to pull out of TPP. Now, there is every opportunity for China to become the global leader, right, as far as business deals are concerned. Foreign flows buy stocks to new highs. This news item is with regard to Sensex increased. This is 30 industries, it tracks 30 industries. So, Sensex as well as Nifty, Nifty tracks 50. So, that is why it is called Nifty, Nifty means National 50. So, Nifty tracks 50 industries, whereas Sensex is based on 30 industries, and Sensex and Nifty increased recently. The reason is flows from foreign countries. So, foreign flows means foreign portfolio investments. This is different. I explained you several times. Foreign direct investment is different. Directly they establish companies in our country, but foreign portfolio investment is just they will come and invest in our country, and as and when the environment in other countries is favorable, they will pull out. So, this is unstable investment, but because of increase in foreign investment, this Sensex raised because foreign portfolio investments are the investments into Indian stock market, please understand. Then SBI begins life in the top 50. Please do not forget the merger of associate banks completed. 5 associate banks and Bharatiya Mahila Bank merged with SBI from 1st April. With this, SBI is into the top 50 league of the world. Previously, it was 58th rank. Now, it is into top 50 banks, and now it reduced 15 basis points base rate cut, and this base rate was in existence prior to April 1. In fact, the loans granted prior to April 1 of 2016, prior to April 1 of 2016, the loans granted were tagged to base rate, but from April 1 2016, now it is MCLR. So, please understand the difference between base rate and MCLR. MCLR is marginal cost of funds based lending rate, and I have given the difference between base rate and MCLR. MCLR looks at the recent deposits, or you can say the interest rates are based on the recently accepted deposits. The differences I have given here. Similarly, the difference between base rate and MCLR, please go through these slides. And the next one is center sets of National Board of Electric Mobility. This news item is from Business Line. You may have a doubt why it is so important. This is National Board of Electric Mobility. The purpose of this is to promote electric vehicles. To promote electric vehicles, this National Board of Electric Mobility was established. So, look at the following facts. I am talking about electric vehicles. The number of electric vehicles sold in India were just 25,000, whereas China's annual consumption is around 42 million electric vehicles. And this assumed significance, this figure, please check it. I got it from one newspaper, and please understand why electric vehicles are so important. They are very much important because of one simple reason, because we are giving a lot of thrust for solar power and wind power. Solar power and wind power are intermittent power. It cannot be produced 24 hours. Whenever sun is there, solar power will be produced. Whenever wind is there, wind power will be produced. And when electric vehicles are promoted in our country, then the charging of electric vehicles will take place that will consume this renewable power. That is the purpose of this promotion of electric vehicles. In fact, promotion of electric vehicles will definitely benefit the solar energy as well as wind energy, because solar energy and wind energy are intermittent in nature. So, here there is a need for promoting this electric vehicles in our country. Advantages of electric vehicles I have listed here: eco-friendliness, ease of operation. If electric vehicles are proliferated, it will benefit solar energy as well as wind energy generation, and charging of electric vehicles exactly matches with the intermittent nature of wind and solar power. Then present problems, why India is not able to go ahead in electric vehicles. There is a lot of misconception, fears about after sales service, anxiety about battery life, fear of getting stranded due to battery failure, and we have no accredited manufacturers of batteries. So, at least some of the imported batteries were found unsuitable for Indian roads. So, these are all the reasons for non-proliferation of electric vehicles. India's mission, if you look at it, India targeted quite aggressively with National Electric Mobility Mission. So, now whatever is constituted, that is in tune with this National Electric Mobility Mission. It targeted to push 6 to 7 million electric vehicles by 2020. This National Electric Mobility Mission is not new actually, it is the old one. Its target is basically to push 6 to 7 million electric vehicles by 2020, and subsidy per vehicle is given at rupees 7,500 to rupees 22,000 also on solar vehicles. So, accordingly, now this is constituted, right. So, there can be excellent synergy between electric vehicles and solar or wind power generation, right friends. We discussed several aspects today. Please do join for editorial discussion. Have a nice day. Thank you.